This podcast is all about risk, the type of risk that you need as a business owner or career professional to move forward. I want you to take some time, real time, and listen to what we're going to talk about today. Come listen.
Welcome to the Behind Her Brand podcast with your host, Kimberly Spencer. Every week, join Kimberly and her guest for inspiring interviews with passionate business builders, corporate leaders, and catalysts of change. Plus, we will be sharing business and career building strategies and tools that you can use to grow. So let's dive into today's episode.
Hey everyone, this is Kimberly Spencer, your host of the Behind Her Brand podcast. And I wanted to jump on here today because I just had a really great conversation, and it made me think about something that I did when I first started in my business. And so let me just say this as a small caveat. If I sound a little nasally, I just came out of a cold, but I feel fine. My voice is still getting back to normal, but I still wanted to record this because I think it's very vital, especially as we are getting ready to build and grow and go into that next phase of your business. So I want to talk to you about risk and investing in yourself. We all know investing in yourself is a given, right? If you're going to build, whether you're building your career or building your business, investing in yourself is an absolute. And what I found is that many people believe that to be true. Many people say that. Many people even think about it often that I need to invest. But very few people really take that big leap and truly invest in themselves in the ways that will really get them to move forward. So what I wanted to do was share with you guys something that I did when I first started my business. And I'm hoping it's an encouragement to someone, because making an investment in yourself is very scary. Okay. It simply is. And when I started, oh my gosh, almost 24 years ago, I remember that I got out of college and I only worked for someone, maybe about a good year and a half of my entire life. After that, I was on my own. And when I made the decision to jump out there, my supervisor at the time, before I left the company, was a professional speaker, and she really wanted to get out there in a big way. And she asked me if I would help her. And at that time, I was working on my MBA. And so I wasn't really sure if I had the capacity to do that, but I knew that I wanted to own my own business. So I started to research, and long story short, I came across an amazing mentor. And then I found someone that knew him very well. And he was incredibly popular. Okay. And so I got to talking to him, and y'all, I was sold. I was like, I need to be a part of whatever this program he's doing, because he was truly a marketing genius. At that time, he was one of the marketers for the Chicken Soup with a Soul series. If you remember that, I'm probably dating myself, but it was an amazing series. And he was one of the people behind making it a big success. He was also a co-writer in it. And then later on, he became in partnership with the gentleman that started it. So when I talked to him and I told him what I wanted to do, he was also a trainer for people who wanted to be speakers. And I didn't want to be a speaker, but I wanted to help market speakers. So he told me his program was $1,500. And my heart sank, because at that time, I only had $203 in my bank account. And I was thinking, how am I going to be a part of this? And it just blew my mind. And so I think he saw that I got quiet, and he said, if you can't afford it at this time, you can always do a payment plan where you can pay it $200 a month. He said, it's a really great program. It's going to be a 3-day weekend in Vegas, and you have to come out, spend all 3 days. And he was kind of sharing everything with me. And so in my head, all of a sudden, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, $1,500 airfare and food, everything else included, right? And at that time, I was only making maybe about $800 every 2 weeks. I was living in an apartment. I was single, no kids, but I still could not fathom that much money. And so I hung up with him, and it just messed with me, because I knew I was always entrepreneurial. Literally, I've always started many businesses when I was little. And I was that kid, the lawnmower, the lemonade, hey, I can do this for you. Because entrepreneurship was in my system. So I was trying to figure out what to do. And I don't know what pushed me over the edge. I can't tell you specifically that this one thing, but what I knew was, when I looked him up, he had a proven success record. When I talked to people who knew him before I meet him, had that phone call, people sung his praises, and they all said that when they implemented what he said, they did well. So I called the next morning and said, I'm in. I'm going to pay the $200 a month, and I'll get there. And so I did not even know how that was going to happen, but I made the $200 payment. And yes, remember what I told you, I only had a couple $100 in my account. And I got paid a couple days later, so I was able to buffer a little bit. But I knew that that payment was going to be coming out every month. I knew I needed to do airfare and all of that. So I try to find ways on, okay, how can I do this? Working on my master's, doing all this, how am I going to make it happen? And what I simply did is I started to babysit. And I became a night nurse to a family, and they paid me a couple $100 every other weekend to babysit their babies while they were sleeping. Basically, I sat in their living room while they slept. And so, long story short, I got the money. I went to Vegas, but here's the thing: did I have the money to go to Vegas? No, I scrimped and I saved. I got the airfare literally by a hair thread. And the same thing with the hotel fee. I was almost afraid that my card was not going to clear because that's how little I had in my account. And after everything was said and done, I probably had a little bit over $20 for the whole weekend to eat on. So before I came, when I packed a minimum clothing and I packed food. And I'm not kidding, guys. I packed chips, hot dogs. I know it sounds kind of gross to pack hot dogs, but yeah, I did. And I packed up everything. And I had called ahead. The hotel had a little refrigerator in the room, so I put everything in there when I got in there. But I knew that I didn't have the money to probably do any of the things that he had listed before, that they're going to go out to dinner, they're going to have fun, they're going to do this, do that. I just knew I was there for the training to learn how to be the best person I can to market speakers. And by day 2, I'm going to tell you guys, he came up to me because he knows I didn't go out with him for lunch the previous day, the first day, or for dinner. And then when I went out for lunch the second day, I didn't go out again because remember, I didn't have the money for it. I was there to soak up the learning. When I got there, I was like the first person, front row. I was asking a lot of questions because I knew that I literally invested every dime that I had to learn what I needed to learn, and I didn't have room for anything else. And so he came to me after day 2, and he said, "Okay, I've noticed you haven't gone out with us at all. Is everything okay? You seem, very personable, et cetera, et cetera." And so I had to share with him truthfully that I'm here and I may got 20 something dollars in my account. I'm praying to God that nothing happens because I really don't have any money to, even fall back on. At the time, I didn't even have credit cards. None of that. And so I told him, I'm afraid I don't have the money to go out and eat and socialize. But what I have been doing, and I told him I packed food up, so I'm okay there. I've been going back to the room and studying the material. And he was so impressed by what I did. He says, day 3, I need to talk to you. But that night, he asked me to go out with them and he paid for my stuff. And he did it in a way that it wasn't where anyone could see. And by the end of day 3, he said, "I'm going to tell you something." He goes, "You were in a room full of speakers and you're the only one that's not a speaker, but you could be all their agents. And I'm going to show you how to build a business where you're going to have a retainer every single month from these people in this room. And you're going to get a percentage of everything that they earn." And I was like, I don't think that's probably going to happen. I'm only like, maybe 20. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. And it was so funny because he said, "If you don't think you can, then you just wasted your whole money on this trip." And in that minute I said, "Okay, show me what to do." And so he did. He says, "I'm going to give you 1 month to close as many people in this room. And then I'm going to give you 1 month to make your first $2,000 in profit using the tools that I taught you here on how to secure engagements." And he goes, "And if you reach that goal, I'm going to give you a $1,000 cashier's check as a bonus." He said, "That's an incentive. I want to see what's in you." And y'all, I didn't know what he was doing. But what I did know was that I made an initial investment to get the training. And all of a sudden, I stepped into another level of thinking that I didn't even know that I was stepping into at the time. And y'all, not only did I make that goal, I exceeded it. I mean, my first $5,729 that month in profit. I also closed everybody in that room except for 2 people because they decided after the training they didn't want to be speakers. But I closed everybody. So in that room at the time was 29 people. So 27 people became my clients. They were paying me $250 in a retainer every single month and 20% of their speaker fees whenever I got them engagements. And they were happy to do so. So one investment that literally cleaned my account out turned into something that became profitable for me for a number of years. And it ended up birthing me to go into you and Pat. So I'm sharing that with you because here's the thing. Did the situation make sense? No. Did my bank account make sense? No. Did it make sense for me to travel and not have food? No. But let me tell you what made sense the most, okay, is to some people, that may have been a very unwise investment, unwise timing, unwise everything. But here's where wisdom kicked in. I researched him and I realized that not only is he who he say he is, because there's a lot of people that will tell you, be a part of this program, do this, do that, and they don't have a proven track record. But what I saw the most was the level of information he put out there even before I became a part of his program. Every blog, everything I saw, excuse me, was packed full of information. He wasn't skimping on anything. He wasn't trying to hide step 2, step 5, step 6. He wasn't hiding anything. He was giving us everything even before I paid a dime. And then when I showed up, he gave so much information. It could have been overwhelming, but what told me was that I'm going to get value. He was giving us copies of his contracts, copies of the material he was sending out. So he was giving us value. So for me, no, it wasn't unwise because I did my research. That's first and foremost. 2, did I have all the income? No. But here's the thing that I believe is that I believe that you're always equipped to get the resources that you need. I was never a professional babysitter or nothing of that nature, but I was trying to find a way to make quick cash income and be able to not alter my schedule too much. So since I didn't really go out, I wasn't that kind of person on the weekends. I knew, okay, weekends, I can do this. So I babysat the whole weekends and I made good money and I was able to fund the things that I needed to fund. Now, I know some people could say easily, well, Kim, you didn't have a husband, you didn't have kids. So of course you had all the time to do that. I can give you example upon example of risk-taking moves that I made, even when I had my first son. Okay. He came with me to business meetings. He came with me to appointments. Again, that may not sound professional, but I let people know ahead of time that I'm building right now. And so I can't say, oh, I have a newborn, so I can't do anything. At that time, that wasn't how I was wired. And I'm sharing this with you because so often as business owners and entrepreneurs, we will always be able to find a reason why not to do something. We can always find a reason to say, well, the season's not right. The environment's not right. My finances are not right. But on the other side of that, have you ever thought about, okay, my finances are a little shaky right now, but it's this season, maybe it's the holidays, maybe it's summer, maybe it's spring. Is there something that you do naturally that you can make extra income on the side to be able to pay for the investment that you're going to make? Have you ever thought about, okay, the environment is not right. What can I do to make the environment right? Is the timing a little bit off? Is it really off? Or is there a way that you can work around whatever it is that's going on in your life to pursue the thing that you want to pursue? And I'm sharing this because if you allow your thinking and limits to limit you where you can go when it comes time to invest in yourself, you're going to find that it's going to be harder to grow. Because here's the thing, I stayed in that program and he ended up having ongoing boot camps. And then I enrolled in something else he had. And he was always giving me incentives for the first couple of years of my business. And I'll tell you, it was the best use of my time. Even when it got to the point that I was very successful, and in some cases it may seem like, well, why did you keep going back to the workshops and trainings? It's because I always found new nuggets. I found new ways of, oh, that's an interesting aha moment, or new ways of approaching something. I built new relationships. I always kept my head in a place of learning under the tutelage of somebody that was constantly pushing themselves. Just as I was in his program, he was in programs. Just as I was learning, he was learning. I saw results in my own life, and I saw the results in how he showed up in other people's lives as well when they implemented what he did, what he shared. So I want to encourage you that if you're thinking of investing in a program, in yourself, in a retreat, in anything that you know will make you put yourself in a place of, okay, in this season, I'm learning. In this season, I'm going to challenge myself. In this season, I'm not going to make any excuses. In this season, I'm going to push myself. If you have an opportunity where you can do that, especially when it's connected to something or someone that you know can literally push you forward or help you go forward, don't look at the limits. Look at the ways that you can blow through those limits. If it's financial, see, is there a way that you can make it work? If it's maybe you don't have a good support system, find a way to say, you know what, do I have a friend or two that can encourage me in this season? Maybe it's just timing. Maybe you're like, man, I got all these projects going around me. I don't see how I can do that. Not a problem at all. See how you can find the time. Maybe you're still an hour before you get going on your day. And I used to do that too when my child was really young. I would always wake up an extra hour early so that I can review, set up emails, do whatever I need to do, because I always found it important for myself to be a wife and a mom too. So you find ways to make something work. Okay. So I just want to encourage you, don't let opportunities go by because you think you can't do it, because you'll be surprised whenever you step out, whenever you make that leap of faith, your capacity seems to grow. Time seems to expand. And I'm not joking with that. It's something about when you step into something that's scary, step into something that could be like, whoo, something about your mind, something about your views, something about the whole environment expands and shifts differently because you're stepping into something greater. So when you step into something greater, your environment can't help but to expand as well. So invest in yourself. Don't be scared. Make that leap, and make sure above anything, as I close this out for you, whatever you invest in or into, whether it's a person, program, or whatever it might be, make sure it is good soil to invest in. Make sure it's not someone who's selling you hype. Make sure whatever program you're getting is not just pumped up with stuff. Do your due diligence. But if you find that it is, okay, good soil, proven, etc., jump all the way in and do not be afraid. Okay? Don't be afraid. Even if you feel like, Kim, I don't know. Oh, I got this, and this. Expand your thinking. Take that fear and say, you know what? Fear, you're going to literally come underneath my control. And I'm going to push through this. I'm going to use that butterfly in my stomach that's like, I don't know. And I'm allow it to fuel me forward. Because this is good soil. This is good season. And this is my time. Because I promise you all, whenever you make that leap, every obstacle, every reason, every excuse, every fire starts coming at you because it doesn't want you to move forward. It happens. For myself, I had 2 pregnancies and both my sons, and I was really ill with both of them. Both of them came 2 months early. I was hospitalized multiple times with both of them. And I'm going to tell you something, I still kept moving forward. And when I did, it's amazing the resources that showed up. When I kept investing in myself, it was amazing the time that kept seeming expanding. I had all these new opportunities that allowed me to do everything I needed to do without it feeling like pressure on myself. It happens. So I'm going to encourage you in this space to make that leap. Okay? All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Behind Her Brand. If you have not visited our website, I'm going to encourage you to do so. It's at www.behindherbrand.net. And beyond anything, take that risk today.